Welcome back to another podcast with BlockStar, your nexus for all things blockchain. I'm your host, Ryan Comet, and today I thought I would introduce myself, talk a bit about how I got into the crypto space, and inevitably found my way to BlockStar. So, back in January 2022 was my first entry into the crypto space. And as most of you probably know, this was not a good time to get into the crypto market. We were entering a bear market at this time, which none of us really knew, but the smart ones did. I'm sure Mr. David Hunter did. But I had a good friend who had found a project that he was, as they say, super bullish on. So I jumped in, feet first, and or maybe head first. It was happened quick. The project went really well at first. I'm not going to name any projects names, but it went awesome. It was humming along. There was lots of staking involved. There was lots of learning curves involved. I quickly learned how to navigate smart contracts, of which I made some bad ones. I messed up numbers and letters, and money didn't reach where it was supposed to go. But I figured it out fairly quickly through some research and the help of a couple of buddies that were already in crypto at the time. But what ended up happening pretty quickly was this project just kept changing contracts, kept changing token names, kept adding tokens, and one thing led to another, and it eventually failed. It was the slowest rug pull I've ever seen to date. So this was probably my first 3 months of being in blockchain. Watching my wallet balance go double, if not triple, at the time, and then down to very little. Uh, One of my favorite stories of that time and scariest moments was, when my wallet was actually doing well. And Trust Wallet had which is what I was using at the time. Trust Wallet had a massive glitch, and I made the mistake of looking at my wallet right before I went to bed at night. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, and saw zero balance, nothing, zilch. Freaked out, got that red hot feeling inside, and called my friends, woke a bunch of people up, and felt some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of relief that their wallets also showed a zero balance, and they were also using Trust Wallet. So I got on some of the chat rooms that I was in Telegram and did a little digging and found out that there was a glitch in Trust Wallet, and that you know this is when I learned to look on BSC scan, and I could actually still see my tokens in my wallet. So it was a good learning experience, but extremely stressful. It was times like these that really taught me how emotional people can become attached to money and projects. And I was told early on that you should only invest what you can afford to lose. I think I did that a little bit, but at the same time, it's still your hard-earned money, so it's hard to watch it disappear. But so I continued on in the space. I was kind of researching projects, and projects would lead to other projects, which any of you are there in the crypto space and doing investments, kind of know how rooms lead to other rooms. And so I kind of kept entering rug after rug, kept getting pulled from under me, losing money left and right, and every loss kind of pushed me harder into the next nefarious project and the wrong contract, just trying to make that money back as fast as I could. It was during this time period that I think it was May beginning of May, that I came across BlockStar, and it was in a pre-sale phase. I'd heard a podcast that David did with another project. Not exactly sure. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a quite a long podcast because, as we all know, David loves to talk about BlockStar, and for very good reason. So after hearing this podcast, I immediately invested in the pre-sale and reached out to David on the BlockStar chat at the time, and he got back to me right away. Um, so I've been a part of it ever since. I mean, one of the things that really interested me in Blockstar was the security from the decentralized platform that he was talking about creating at this time. He had already created it, but it was not public to everybody yet. I'd been a part of so many failed projects, mostly in the BSC space, which I learned, 94 to 96% of the projects are scams, rugs, or they just fall apart. The owner of the project runs away with all the liquidity. What I did figure out, I always try to find a silver lining in everything in life. I've been in construction for about 20 years and had a lot of successful projects and had a lot of failed projects. What I always tried to learn, especially in construction, one of my mentors taught me you're only as good as the mistakes you can fix. So I kind of took this same silver lining into the crypto space of, well, okay, yeah, I've lost a lot of money, but I've learned a lot. It was an education. I paid for it. I've learned a lot through Blockstar, through David Hunter, late nights talking with David, freaking out about projects that I'm losing money in. Um, I've learned that it's never the end of the world, but that you got to learn from it. You got to take something from it, move on, keep persevering, and keep going. Uh, I've always been intrigued by blockchain and smart contracts and the permanence of it. It's very interesting to me, and what you can actually achieve in the blockchain space. So as time continued, I kind of decided to take a step back. Uh, Still kind of immerse myself in various projects, chat rooms, on Telegram, but really study the psychology behind what drives this space. I stopped investing in projects. I learned not to invest in everything that comes my way, with whitelists and airdrops and, you know, advertised projects. It's everywhere is what I started to learn. I tried to realize that, I'm going to miss out on some quick gains, or maybe I escape the next rug pull. As my dad always said, who is, a heavy investor in the stock market all the way back from the 60s and 70s, that, he experienced some Ponzi schemes in the 80s when they were real big. But what seems too good to be true usually is too good to be true. And what I really learned in the crypto space is typically one person's gain is usually another person's loss, which is what really drove me to Blockstar. This the idea, the concept, the creation, what David, the visionary that he is, that he wanted to create a project and a platform, an ecosystem that gave back to everybody, no matter what was going on with the market. Just to literally operate and be and use the platform, the ecosystem, you get rewarded through staking, through ad revenue, through the cost, as we all know, all the things that have come out in the ecosystem now, from digital streaming to AI agency. Everything will contribute towards the ecosystem, and everybody benefits from it. It's not at the demise of somebody else. And this is what I really loved. The core values of what he created is what I believe in. I looked at all these projects through the years that, would talk about how they were going to space, create a launch pad, create this, create that. And, at the end of the day, they would have staking, they would have all these things that, every project or most projects that I've been involved in have, because that's attractive to me. The staking portion of it is what brought it to me, because it looks like a long-term investment. But at the end of the day, those projects could not support themselves in paying for all the staking, and it was just a gimmick to get everybody involved in it, and then it eventually fails. This is not the case with Blockstar. And once again, it's what I loved about it. I see that this podcast has slowly become just a pitch for Blockstar, but it kind of shows how much it changed my philosophy and my feelings on the space. I would say, had I not found Blockstar, I probably still would not be in the crypto space. I would have vacated it a long time ago. Um, it's actually been tough through the years to the last couple years, I should say, to bring people into this project because it kind of seems too good to be true. But it's not. I mean, I've watched BlockStar hit target dates for development, integration time after time. It's so refreshing. Its foundation has been built to endure, these bear markets, bull markets. I mean, we're just going to keep going through them through the years, and its calm and steady approach to growing is what is so attractive. I've watched him develop slowly, steadily. I've learned to personally take this approach in the crypto space when it comes to investments and projects. Who can you trust? I mean, it's such a hard space to find people to trust. You don't see 99.9% of the people that you end up becoming friends with in this space. They live across the globe. They live all over the place. I've got friends in Africa. I've got friends in, lots in England. And I mean, they're literally all over the place. In such a kind of unsteady time in the globe, and all the uncertainty that's wrapped around everything, the wars, the elections, the stock market ups and downs, the ETF thing that we're going through right now with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the SEC, we've got energy crisis, we've got tensions just are high globally, and history just kind of repeats itself time and time again. We've seen this, but it's ever changing. We've watched, since I've been in, literally 50% of the crypto market just gone, vanished, right before my eyes. I mean, and one thing I've learned is that that's the time you build and you bring money in, not when I first came in. Let's just a quick review of what's happened since I entered the market. I watched UST stablecoin depeg, the Terra Luna crash. This caused a lot of the CeFi institutions to freeze, like Celsius, which that's one that I narrowly escaped. I had a friend down in Texas who was heavily invested into Celsius and loved it. And he made a ton of money, millions off of it, year after year. I got in it, had a bad feeling, got out. Next thing I know, all his assets are frozen in there. Then we saw some stabilization by the end of the summer in 2022, and kind of thought things were looking better. And then thanks to FTX and Alameda Research, we had a whole nother crash from insolvency, which we've seen through the years with hedge funds and investments, and over the mortgage crisis. I mean, it's just, but watching this mass exodus from the crypto market, something that I was really excited about and happy to be a part of, it was freaky. Something I did learn though during this time period is that there was no failure in blockchain technology. It itself did not fail. The security involved in blockchain it's incredible. It's all the kind of nefarious actors running around in the space that greed is driving all this. I've watched during that time period, Ethereum successfully upgraded to a proof of stake blockchain. So during this time period, this bearish time period, the really smart projects use this time to develop, kind of stay under the radar, stay out of the view of the SEC, and just work on development. And this is the number one thing that BlockStar did during this time period. David Hunter and his incredible team behind him just kept building, kept developing, kept stabilizing the project. This is when BlockStar made, last winter, so going into 2023, BNB's having a rough time with the market, and David and the BlockStar team made the brilliant decision to jump chains from BNB to Ethereum. Shortly following this switch, BNB dropped 25% in value. So once again, we've got this project that they kept liquidity stable. And during this time period, moving from BNB to Ethereum can be an extremely expensive process. I mean, we all, or at least if you don't know, Ethereum is a very expensive chain to operate on, or it can be, during especially peak times in the market. But once again, BlockStar comes through. They covered all the cost of switching from the chain to chain. I have never seen a project do this. It's incredible. To me, it really shows the integrity behind the project and how they back themselves up and how they look to the future and they can see how they truly need to treat their investors and the people involved in their project. And now we've got this ever-growing hub of decentralized platforms that BlockStar has created for all of us. I mean, there is literally something for everybody. From chat rooms to the AI agency to, now we've got the Hex, the hybrid exchange, where we've now moved and can operate and with our BlockStar investments and our tokens. We've got staking, we've got launch pads, we've got. I mean, it's endless, and I just it hasn't even gotten started. So as we enter this bull run that everybody's talking about, none of this is investment advice, but I am so excited to be a part of this ecosystem and be a part of this team. And I just look forward to 2024 and everything that's coming up. In the next podcast, I kind of want to take more of a deep dive into some of these individual platforms and kind of explore this space that our visionary David Hunter has created, and the team he's got behind him. So I'm going to wrap up today, and in the future I'm going to wrap up every podcast with I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the BlockStar agency, but David has put a sarcastic chatbot of himself on there, which I find highly interesting and hilarious at times. So I have asked David, sarcastic chatbot, if he can sum up 2023 for us as we enter 2024. Here is his answer. Oh, fantastic. Super original request. Summarize an entire year. Sure, because it's so easy to squeeze 365 days into a tiny sentence for your entertainment. It's not like 2023 was a global roller coaster or anything, filled with complexities and nuances. But okay, let's play this game. In 2023, people still didn't learn how to drive properly. The internet continued to be a cesspool of keyboard warriors, and politics remained a reality TV show, but with less competent actors. Your favorite social media platforms introduced about 738 new features, and you didn't use any of them properly. Meanwhile, climate change decided to redecorate the planet with a palette of natural disasters, and everyone acted surprised. And of course, we can't forget the technological advancements that promise to solve all your first world problems while creating a dozen new ones. Wow, life changing. So, as we gear up for 2024, I'm just on the edge of my seat with anticipation to see how humanity will manage to battle logic and reason in the coming year. Spoiler, it probably involved even more screen time and an unhealthy obsession with things that don't really matter. Happy New Year, human. Brace yourself for another trip around the sun, dodging common sense like it's the plague. Well, that's all we have for today, folks. Hopefully, I will see you next time on BlockStar Podcast. It's your host.